Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I have updated our La Cueva website and our AP website in particular with specifics that you guys are going to need for testing. Hopefully you guys have been receiving a lot of emails from the College Board about the new AP process. If you haven't, we're going to talk to you guys today about how to troubleshoot that as well. But if you go to the La Cueva website and click on counseling, on the side you'll see the AP exams. If you're on your phone, it's all the way down at the bottom. And I loaded a bunch of information in here today for you. The first one is our individual schedule. So this, if you've seen the schedule from the College Board, it has all the exams, all the different time zones, and it's a little confusing. So I just took it all and made it just for us. So it's very important that you understand that it's based on time zone. Everybody in the world will be taking the exam at the same time. If you're in a different country, you're going to take it at 8 p.m. at night. So if for some reason you are not in New Mexico, you need to go back to the schedule on the AP website and find your time zone if you're in a different time zone. So all of these are Mountain Standard Time. You'll either test at 10, 12, or 2, and you can kind of see all of the tests. If you are in an English class taking an English exam and you're in 11th grade, it is English language. If you're in 12th grade, it's English lit. Okay, so everything else should be fairly self-explanatory based on our schedule. So that is on our AP website. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to show you this video walkthrough. You may have already seen it, but I want to make sure everybody on here sees it, and then we're going to go through some other details that will help you. So let me get this going.
This video will walk you through the AP 2020 exam's important steps and offer tips. 2 days before the exam, you will get an email with your AP ID and an e-ticket that will take you to your personalized exam. Check in 30 minutes before your exam starts. The first thing you'll do is enter your 8-character AP ID, and then fill out all your personal information. Note the timer at the bottom of the screen. Hit continue. The exam will automatically start when that countdown hits 0. And once it starts, the timer located at the bottom will count down how much time you have to read your question, craft your response, and submit it. If your exam has 1 question, you will have 50 minutes. If you have 2 questions, you will get 30 minutes for the first one and 20 minutes for the second one. If you are approved for extended time, it will be added automatically. The timer will turn red when you have 5 minutes left. That's when you should wrap up your work and start submitting your response. Once that timer hits 0, you will automatically be moved to the next question. This is important. You can get partial credit for a partial answer, but you will not get any credit if you submit nothing. You can use any device to take this exam: a desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone. If you're typing on a desktop or laptop, you can reduce the size of your browser window so you can see the question and your text file side by side. Type your AP ID and initials at the top of the page. You can also write your responses on paper. If you're writing by hand, use a number 2 pencil or a pen with blue or black ink. Use white paper, lined or unlined, and write legibly. Print or cursive is fine. You can place your phone next to your paper so you can keep an eye on your time. Be sure you put your AP ID and initials at the top of the page. If you use more than 1 piece of paper, number each page in order. For most AP exams, there are 3 ways to submit work. You can attach a text file typed in another application. You can paste a response typed in another application. Or you can attach photos of work you wrote by hand. Let's walk through each option. To attach a typed response, click Attach Response with Attach Text File. You can browse for a file. Once you hit Submit, you cannot go back to that question. So make sure you're ready to move on before you hit Submit. If you choose to copy and paste your work, click on Paste Response. Copy your response and paste it into the box. Review it to make sure it has everything you want to submit and is formatted correctly. Once you have checked the pasted copy, hit submit. If you're attaching a handwritten response, tap Attach Response. Tap Attach a Photo. Make sure it is vertical and you are in a well-lit space. Snap your photo. If your response has more than one page, make sure you attach the pages in order. Remember, once you hit submit, you cannot go. If you just have one question for your exam, that's it, you're done. For exams with 2 questions, if you finish the first one with time to spare, a timer will start a countdown for when your second question will automatically start. When you see this screen, the timer has started for your second question. The process for answering question number 2 is exactly the same as for question number 1, except you have 20 minutes to read the question, work on your response, and submit it. Once you submit your second answer, you're done. Some AP courses like World Languages and Music Theory will have exams that work a little differently. To learn more about these courses and more details on AP 2020 exams, go to cb.org/AP2020.
Okay, guys, so that video is on our website. So if you want to look at it again or whatever, it's on here. The other thing that I want to show you is this 5 steps to take before test day. So it is very important that you guys look through all of this. These are some highlights, but I'm going to take you through the entire site for you to look at now. On Monday, they launched a demo site. This is where you can, as of right now, you can go in and practice with the site to make sure that your technology is working, make sure understand what you're going to need. You can see how the timer's working. Everything that you're going to see on test day, you can test out here. It does give you the example of using as a 2-question test, but some of you will only have 1 question. So you're going to need your name, your birthday, and your email address. This is important to think about because I want you guys to log into your My AP system and check all of this information. How did you spell your name? What email address is being used? Make sure everything is correct because this is what they're going to use to verify your identity. This one just asks, do you give them permission to use your free response material for education and instructional purposes? You can say yes or no, and then click I agree. This will let you know when your exam will start, and then you can practice with that, okay? I'm not gonna wait for 4 minutes until it all starts, but I definitely want all of you to make sure that your technology is working with that site. The next thing, you can review ways to submit as well. But the next thing down here is that there are some, there's a review or an exam day checklist that they'd like you to go through. Your AP exam or AP ID number can be found in your My AP account. It will also give you that when you get your test ticket. Your test ticket will be sent via email, but it's also available via your College Board, your My AP account. So if for some reason you're having trouble getting your email, you can log into your My AP account and get it. It's another thing I want to mention. I want you guys to set alarms or appointments on your phone for the day of test day. They want you to log into the test 30 minutes before it begins. So I want you to set your alarm for, let's say you're testing at 10, at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, your alarm's going to go off and say log into your test. Then I want you to set another alarm for 9:55 that is going to remind you that testing is going to begin in 5 minutes. We so easily get distracted these days that I don't want your test to start timing and you run out of time then. So set those reminders. You can also use your alarm on your phone to help you time the exam. If we're so focused on writing something, sometimes we won't see that there's 5 minutes left. So that alarm can go off and you can remember, I need to submit in 5 minutes. So this just gives you some things to look at. It has you go through some specific items to make sure that you have everything ready. Plug your device in. How many of us have lost power in the middle of a question and lost everything? This one is very important. You cannot use Internet Explorer to take the test. So if you're going to your email and clicking on the link to take your test, if your default browser is Internet Explorer, it will not work. They prefer Chrome, but if you use Firefox, Safari, or Edge, those will work as well. I have a slide or something I'm going to show you that tells you how to change your default browser or how to troubleshoot if you need that. But just know if you're used to using Internet Explorer, that's not going to work. They need you to change that. Okay, they want you to use the demo. We're going to talk about how to write your responses in what programs, and we're going to talk about some of this other information as well as the world languages. So take a look at this checklist. Sorry, let me go back to my 5 steps. So the checklist, start the exam demo, do the checklist, confirm your email address. This is very important, and they'd like you to do this before tomorrow at 5:30 to make sure everything is ready to go. So this is going to be the email address that they have in the system for you, and that's where your test ticket's going to be sent. If you have not been receiving emails from the College Board, go through this process. You can check the email. You can look at your account settings to make sure that you are subscribed to the College Board emails, and then make sure that you have them as an approved sender or a safe sender in your actual email. Don't worry if you still can't get it to work. You can get your test ticket via your My AP system. So if they still can't fix it, you can do that. Then on test day or 2 days before test day, you're going to get your e-ticket, and then 30 minutes before the exam, you're going to check in. So that's all of this information. Exam security guidelines, very important that they are going to be monitoring every system and every site out there for cheating. It is open book, open note, so you can have access to your resources and do everything, but if you're going to try to communicate with others taking that test, there is a high likelihood that they are going to find out, and if they detect that you were cheating, they will cancel your scores. You'll be prohibited from taking any AP exams, any SAT, subject tests, any of those in the future. They will let the colleges know that you were caught cheating or had an unfair advantage, and they will also let our school know in case there's discipline that needs to happen. So just do your own work. They also do not want you going out to the internet and copying and pasting. They will detect plagiarism as well. If you need guidance on taking an open book, open note test, but what they're talking about, put it here. The one thing they did mention, I haven't been able to find it on the website, but they said if you have a shared document, let's say your teacher on Google Classroom shared a Google Doc or shared something, you're going to want to download a copy of that and put it on your desktop rather than accessing the shared document, or go ahead and print it out, have it for yourself. You will not be allowed to access a shared document during the exam. Okay, let's go back. Then I want to go through this testing guide. There's a lot of slides in this testing guide, but I'm just going to go through a few of them with you to kind of cover a little bit more than what they covered in that slide. This whole thing is available. You can look through it. This is what your testing or your e-ticket will look like. You should get it 2 days before each of your tests. So make sure you're looking for it. And if you don't get it via email, log into your My AP. Don't share it, of course, with anyone. Then on this one, what to expect, it will not be more difficult to get a 3, 4, or 5 on your exams this year. They are never graded on a curve, and this year's exams are no different other than being shorter. Do not worry if you do not complete all of your response. It is more important to submit something than to not submit anything. When that timer runs out, if you have not submitted, you do not get to submit. So on those that have one question, you'll have 50 minutes on your timer, and it's up to you to time yourself or to watch that timer to make sure you get it submitted before that timer runs out. So they suggest 45 minutes, the timer turns red, you have 5 minutes to upload. If you're doing a 2-question or even the 1-question, let's go back to 2-question. If you submit and you upload and it says that it's still processing, but it's time for you to start your 2nd question, go ahead and move on. It'll still process that. But when you're done with the test, do not close out of the test system until it says that they have been processed or saved or submitted successfully. If after a long while, it's still not processing, you can fill out the help ticket form, and they will get back to you, and hopefully the response will submit. So just make sure that you're watching that and make sure that it's getting submitted on time and that it's getting submitted fully. Okay. Then 16. My world languages, so my French, German, and Spanish. This was something that took me by surprise the other day. It was just, I think, on Monday, and we've been trying to develop a plan. You have to take your exam on a device that can download an app from the Apple Store or from the Google Play Store. It has to be a phone, a smartphone, or a tablet. It has to have internet access through Wi-Fi or data. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to see if our iPads here at school, if we can get the app. Unfortunately, the app is not available until the week of May 11th, which is next week. Luckily, your tests are not until the 20th or later, but I have a form that I'm going to have everybody fill out that's here today, and you're going to let me know if you need help accessing a device. So you have to do it on an app, on a smartphone, or a tablet. So keep that in mind if you're doing a world language. Everybody else, you can do it on any of those devices that they mentioned. Okay. 22, we definitely said make sure you're reviewing your contact information that is on that link that I shared with you, and update it if necessary. Check your tech, choose your device, so you will not need a lockdown browser at all, but this is very important. If you have a Grammarly plugin on your computer, you need to remove it to test. So if that's something that you use frequently, you can do that, okay? Let's see. It won't require graphs or diagrams. Our calculus, chemistry, and statistics, of course, you're going to be writing formulas, and it has weird characters. There are resources that you can print or have available that have the keystrokes that you can use if you're doing it on your computer. Some students, the College Board is saying most students in those subjects are going to choose to handwrite them and take a picture of it and upload it. If you would rather have that printed copy of the resource sheets, I'm going to talk about those in a little bit, you can fill out the form and let me know that if you do not have a printer. Typing, definitely. So this is something that you are not able to type into the test system. You'll need to have your question open and then another program that you're going to type your answers into. So you can do Google Docs, you can do Word, you can do Notes, any other program that can save your file once you are done writing it. That is if you're going to upload your answer. When you go to upload it, you need to save your document as a .doc, docs, PDF, text, or ODT. So make sure that you have the ability or you know how to do that. So if you're using Google Docs, make sure you know how to save that to your device. You can copy and paste it into the system if you'd like to as well, but just know that. If your test has more than one question, you're going to want to save 2 documents. One is going to be AP Biology question 1, AP Biology question 2 is the next one. Every page or part of your test needs to have your AP ID and your initials at the top. Do not put your name anywhere on the test. It just needs to be your ID and your initials. If you're handwriting, of course, just paper, and then you're going to need to just take pictures and upload them. You can have up to 5 pages for question 1 and up to 5 pages for question 2. So you'll have that option. Again, some tests only have 1 question, some has 2, and that's coming up. Okay. So this is what you need on exam day. You need to have your ticket, your checklist. That's just kind of what we went over on that other website. Device, your browser, make sure it's the right one, your connection for internet or cell phone, and then any assisted devices that you need. Your word processing program. You can have your class notes, study guides, textbooks, other classroom resources, any previous assignments, that type of thing, okay? These are the other resources that might be needed by per exam. So macroeconomics, hopefully you can scrounge some scratch paper because you're going to need scratch paper. You're also permitted to have a calculator. For calculus, computer science, and statistics, there are these reference sheets. So keyboarding reference sheets, Java quick reference, and a formula sheet for stats. These are the ones that they are suggesting that you print it out. And why they suggest that is you're going to have your test question open, your word processing program open, and then you're going to also need your formulas or your reference sheet. So if you have access to print those, print them. If you do not have access to print them, in the form that I'm going to give you at the end, I want you to fill that form out, and at the bottom it's going to ask you, do you need a printed copy of a resource? And Mr. Riley and I are going to coordinate getting those, having you come by and pick those up. If you're taking biology, chem, physics 1, physics 2, those are the same thing. You're going to need these reference sheets. So you'll fill out that form and let us know if you need those. And calculators are permitted as well. So on test day, these are world languages. We have that different information for them. They're going to need the app, Wi-Fi cell data, at least 35 megabytes of storage, and then 25% of battery. So make sure your phone doesn't die on you, okay? 31, optional resources. You can use either printed or digital materials, class notes, study guides, textbooks, assignments, calculators, anything that you have. Just make sure it's not a document that is shared between multiple people in an online thing like Google Docs or whatever, okay? But they're saying internet searches are going to waste your time and put you at the risk of having an exam violation. Spending more time searching the web is going to give you less time per exam question. Internet-based facts, research opinions are not relevant to the AP exam and won't raise your score. So don't spend time looking for all of those things. Copying from websites, social media, or online forums is considered plagiarism and will be detected, and your exam scores will be canceled. So make sure that you're just focused on answering that question, okay? Let's see. We wanted to do this. Make sure that 2 days before you're getting the exam that you have that. Let me go down to 35. So this is where you're going to find out. So if you're in English or history, those exams only have 1 question, okay? 30 minutes before the exam starts, you're going to check in, use your e-ticket to do that, complete your identification information, and then wait for that exam to begin automatically. Then you'll have 45 minutes suggested to read the question and response, and then 5 minutes to upload your response. Again, after that 50-minute period, it is going to shut off and you're not going to be able to submit anything. So submit something, okay? For all other exams, so history and English here, all other exams excluding our world languages, you will have 2 exam questions. So 30 minutes to check in. You have 25 minutes to read and respond to question 1 and a 5-minute response period. So this is 30 minutes. You need to answer your question and upload it by the end of that 30 minutes because it's going to shut off. And then when it says question 2 is starting, your timer begins automatically. Okay, so make sure that you have that done. Then you have the 20 minutes for question 2, but they suggest that 5 minutes of submission time for there. Okay. For our world languages, check in 30 minutes before, and then it's less than 30 minutes. I believe it's 20 something minutes. I'll show you guys that in a second. Okay. Make sure your testing environment is conducive to doing your best. So remove distractions. Younger brothers, see if they can go outside. Make sure do not disturb on any of your devices, all of that. Let your parents, guardians, siblings know that you're testing and not to disturb you. Make sure your device is plugged in. Make sure that nobody is using Fortnite or streaming Netflix or that you have a ton of computers on the internet. Try to limit as much system use as you can during that time so that you can successfully take your test. Okay. And 44. What could go wrong? As we all know, with online technology, a lot can go wrong. So if you accidentally close the browser, if your device crashes, if you lose internet access, you can quickly just click on your exam e-ticket and get back in. Continue at the exam. If you feel at the end that your temporary disruption negatively impacted your performance, you can request approval to retake your test. This is the link that you're going to see on everything that they put out. If you have an issue with your test, you need to use that to report the problem. Do not call College Board. They will not be answering the phone. Do not try to reach out to me. There's no way I can deal with 1,000 tests over those 2 weeks. So please just, and there's nothing I can do to help you anyway, you're just going to submit your help tickets to them directly. Do not refresh your browser or hit the back button at all. It will take you out of the test. You'll have to click on your test ticket and get back in. But just know that that link is there. If they determine that, yes, you needed the amount of time that you were out of the test negatively impacted you, they are going to allow you to take the test in June. That's something I forgot to mention. So all of you that are signed up for the test will get a test ticket in May, 2 days before your exam date in May. If you do not take the exam, you will automatically get one for June. If you have a test issue and they approve you for late testing, they'll give you another one in June. After those June test dates, there are no others. So we really want you to take that May test date so that you can, if you have technical difficulties, get into the June one, okay? Next is this one. As usual, the exams will be scored by readers and college professionals, and they'll be reported as a 1 to 5 score. They will, though, take a little bit longer to release those scores. So they will start releasing scores on July 15th, okay? You can send your scores for free, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. When they rolled this out, a lot of students asked, well, or thought colleges won't accept this. And we have seen that every college that I have heard from or that the College Board has mentioned, they are all going to accept them. They are experiencing the same pandemic that we are. So you can see here the UC system, Purdue and Vanderbilt have all supported this revised test. And the revised test is something that in times of crisis in other cities in years past, hurricanes, floods, they've done this in the past where they've given a shorter exam with the at-home environment. So it's not something new. It's just new on this worldwide scale. So Virginia Tech, University of Washington, you've got lots of different organizations, colleges that are accepting this. And they're experiencing it themselves with their own students, trying to figure out how to have grace in this situation, okay? Check your tech, your browser. So I actually did a screenshot of this page and have it on that AP website that I'll show you, that talks to you about if you need to install Chrome, how you do it, how to set up your default browser, and then disabling any plugins. So that is very important that you look at that. Okay. So that's all this AP testing guide. Our world languages technology. On this site, if you're taking a world language, I want you to spend some time looking through it. But on here, you can kind of see how long the exam is. It's 22 minutes for our French, German, and Spanish. But you can kind of see all of the help tools that they have for our world languages. That check your browser page also, that's that screenshot. It just downloaded the screenshot I showed you. You also get to send one free score report to a college. This is especially important for my seniors, but for my underclassmen, feel free to send a score report to any college that you're interested in. When we set up your My AP account, we tried to have you list a college in there, but if you didn't, you can still go back in all the way up until June 20th and list a college to send your score report to for free. Before I get to this, I'm going to jump over and do questions. This form, actually, let me talk about it. It just asks you to go through and tell me that you've watched it, that you've tried out the demo. We watched the video today, that you tried out the demo, you've taken the steps, you know about the checklist. It just confirms everything for me, and I want you just to type your name into these. But down here is probably the most important part, is that if you need a printed copy of those resources, I need you to let me know. And then if you need help getting exam technology, I made a misspelling there, just tell me. I have a smartphone I can use, or a tablet, or no, I don't, and we can work with you on that. Mr. Riley and Mr. Back and myself will be working on those for the rest of the week. So now I'm going to come over to the chat. So if you have questions, feel free to chat with me. And I will go back up to the top. Can we type responses and take a photo of our screen? You can. I know sometimes when I try to take a photo of the screen, it doesn't come through correctly. So make sure that you are, that it's going to turn out well. So make sure that you test it beforehand. You can also do a screenshot of it if it helps to do that. And if that doesn't help, you can copy and paste it into your other device. So can you have the test open on more than one device at a time? That's a very good question that I have not seen an answer to. I don't know. I would try to do it all on one device. At least have the device or the test open on one and then do your response on another one if you can, and then try to transfer that. But I'm just not sure about that one. Sorry, Jarrett. And Aman, I did cover that. So your English and history have 2 questions. All the other have 1 question. All the other have 2. Okay. If you want to use paper and pencil, do I have to have a mobile device? The way they showed taking the picture of that was with a cell phone. If you have a way to take a picture of it and get it onto your computer to then upload as an attachment, you don't have to. I think they were just assuming that if you're writing at paper pencil, you would be taking a picture of it with your cell phone. So you just have to have a way to take a picture of it and upload it. If you go to a new tab for a Google Doc, is that okay? I believe it will be. You can go to any website, anything that you need to. They just don't want you spending too much time searching for things, but it should be fine. They just made that comment about not accessing a shared document. So if at all possible, if you're going to go to Google Doc for typing in your response, that's totally fine. So hopefully that answers the question. Yes, so Michelle, that is it. So you can use Google Docs to write your response, but it can't be a shared document with other people. Do we need to use the same device and same method for all of our tests? No, each test is separate. I would just make sure you do that demo site that is going to, it's going to work for all of your responses. If we have scrap work to plan for our final response, do we have to submit that along with our final response? No, whatever you're gonna, whatever your answer is, or how you're working out a problem or anything, whatever you want to be considered as part of your final response, you have to submit. But if you're just jotting down notes or kind of scratching out ideas, you don't necessarily have to submit that, just your final responses. But if it's like a math problem or some sort of science problem, I would make sure you show your work. Does the exam block all copying and pasting? If you're saying like you want to copy something and paste it into your answer, it doesn't, from what I understand, block that, but you don't want to be accused of cheating or plagiarism. So I would be wary of that because we don't know what the questions are. So I'm not sure how that would work. But you can copy it and paste it into the exam submission site if that's what you're asking. If scrap work is needed to be submitted, must it be done the same way as the actual question, paper and pencil, computer and computer? I remember from the video, they were having people upload multiple pages, so it just needs to be in your submission, where whatever device you're using your submission, you need to be able to upload all at the same time. So have the ability to access all of your screenshots or your documents all at the same time. Do you print during the test? There won't be anything to print. It will all be online. I would try to get those reference sheets printed and handed out, or printed and have available before the test so that you're not having to fight with that. What will we do if, I'm sorry, what will a school do with a score if you can't apply yet freshman sophomore? It kind of hangs out there in cyberspace, and when you apply, it kind of get matched up. But the other thing is it actually shows a demonstrated interest for a school if they see that you have sent your scores to them. So if you even end up not going to that school, it doesn't matter. So if you've got somewhere that you're interested in, want to show demonstrated interest, you can go ahead and send them your scores. So I will wait if there's any other questions. I definitely want you guys to go and try out that demo site and then go to that AP site and fill out that form so that I know if you're okay and you don't need anything, or if you do need something from us for those other tests. And if you don't have any other questions, you can just you can sign off the meeting. If you have other questions, just type them in and I'll answer. What long-term effects do these tests have on our academic success? So the purpose of taking an AP exam is so that you can use your passing score to send off to colleges and earn college credit based on how they assess the score. So most colleges across the nation, a 3 or higher out of 5 gets college credit. So that would equate to credit. So let's say you're taking an English language exam and they give you credit for freshman English, you would not have to take freshman English. So it kind of gets you out of these tests since you've already done the college level work in high school. You lock that score in and it's used for that. Some schools will say, we want you to still take like our calculus, but some schools say, no, you're good, depending on major as well. So it's definitely something that is a benefit for you because you've already done all of the work this year. So I would continue to go through. I forgot to mention this, but the test only covers the first 75% of the year rather than the whole year, because almost all the schools that they surveyed, they were done at the same time we were done. And so they've cut the content out of the exam to just cover that first 75%. Okay. Those reference sheets, Sophia, if you go onto that La Cueva AP site under the checklist, you can click on that, or it's in that slideshow as well. Okay. I'll try to add a link to that as well later today. So. And again, if there's no other questions, will the tests be graded a bit more leniently? They have not express that. They just, on that one slide that I showed you, said that it's not harder to get a 3, 4, or 5 this year, and it's not graded on a curve. So it is based on the parameters they give the readers, and I don't know exactly what those are going to be this year. So I think that there's a high likelihood our students do really well on these tests. We consistently outperform the national average and the state average for these. So you know a lot of content, so just rest assured, have your resources available and do well. Jeffrey, if you go to the La Cueva website, click on counseling, and then there's a link for AP exams. It's either on the left or the right side of, left side of your screen if you're on a computer, or it's all the way down at the bottom if you're on a phone, and then the form is there. Okay, if you select a free score distribution to a college, this will occur before you see the score right. You have to select the college and submit that before you will see the score. If you decide to send your scores later, you can go online and send them. It will just cost money for each school that you send it to. Okay, so you don't have to send them now. They just give you one free one. So you can't print out the test like for a DBQ and a history test. That's a really good question, Annabelle. I have not seen anything on printing of the test. You could definitely try, but I'm not sure I would count on it. So just try to do some searching on that site and see if you see anything, because they have a lot of frequently asked questions and all kinds of information, and more information is posted all the time. So check on the actual College Board website. That's a very good question about books. Mrs. Lee is here today, and I am going to touch base with her that to find out what the plan is for books for our underclassmen. I know she was planning to do books for our juniors next week, but I have not heard of that exact plan. Once I do, I will send it out and figure out details for everybody. So if there's no other questions, then we'll go ahead and end this. And I thank you guys all for being here.